Hey everyone, it's Thunderbolt. I am back from my trip, and in my previous video, as you guys saw, I showed you how the Dragon Ball Z movies are connected to Dragon Ball GT and exactly which movies are connected to GT. And in this video, which is like a part 2 of that video, I'm gonna try and fit all those movies properly into the timeline to create the true Dragon Ball GT timeline. So, in my previous video, these are the movies that I found out are connected to Dragon Ball GT, starting with Bardock the Father of Goku, an episode of Bardock, Death Zone, Tree of Might, Lord Slug, Cooler's Revenge, The Return of Cooler, Broly the Legendary Super Saiyan, Plan to Eradicate the Saiyans, Bojack Unbound, Broly Second Coming, Bio Broly, Fusion Reborn, and Wrath of the Dragon, which all leads into Dragon Ball GT. If you really want to know why these specific movies are the ones that are connected to GT, then go ahead and watch part 1, as this is part 2. Also, if you want to know why I'm calling it the Dragon Ball GT timeline, that's because if you watch the video where I explain the canon of Dragon Ball, I basically tell you exactly what is canon in Dragon Ball and why it is canon and how Dragon Ball has different continuities and timelines and how Dragon Ball GT is one of them. So do check out that one as well. It's a really cool video. So yeah, let's get right into it. Leave a like, subscribe. I hope you enjoy this video. Starting with 1104 years before age, the events of the episode of Bardock take place, because we all know that Bardock goes back in time, and this is when Frieza's ancestors, Chilled especially, learns about the Super Saiyan transformation. And I'm using the word age because even though the word age was used to signify years in the guidebooks first, Akira Toriyama actually implemented it in other media when he was working on it. For example, in Dragon Ball Super Broly, the movie, you can literally see the text that mentions the ages that certain events took place in. So like literally the word age is mentioned there. So since Toriyama is on board with it, I am on board with it, hence we are using the ages. So we know that 1104 years before age, episode of Bardock took place. In age 737, Frieza blew up planet Vegeta and Bardock got transported into the past. Then we move to 12th October, age 760. So Raditz arrives on 12th October, age 761. So the movie Dead Zone has to take place exactly 1 year prior, as the Dragon Balls are used in that movie. When Raditz arrives, you can still see that the Dragon Balls are active because you can see it on Gohan's head, which means at least 1 year has passed between Dead Zone and this movie, right? So we know that Dead Zone takes place 12th October, age 760. And we have to assume that in the GT timeline, Bulma, Roshi and Krillin had already met Gohan before the events of this movie. So yeah, this is how I'm gonna fit every single movie into the timeline. I'm not gonna change the main broader story of Dragon Ball itself. Key events are still gonna happen. It's just that basically all we're gonna do is make minor changes to make it convenient for us to fit the movie in. But like the main story of Dragon Ball itself is probably gonna remain unchanged. Moving on to Tree of Might. So in the Tree of Might, Tien, Yamcha and Chaozu are still alive. Gohan has his Namek Saga hair and Yamcha's hair is longer as well. Goku uses the Spirit Bomb and the Kaioken times 10, right? So we know that this movie cannot take place in the 1 month between the Saiyans fight and Planet Namek, because in that 1 month, these guys are dead and Goku is hospitalized. And some people say that why don't you alter it that, you know, Goku actually came back in time for the fight and that therefore no one died. Well, yeah, we could do that, but then if that was the case, if no one died, then there's no reason for them to even go to Planet Namek. And Piccolo's alive here as well, so like there's definitely no reason for them to go to Planet Namek. So we know that literally the only possible time this movie can take place in is August, age 764, right after Future Trunks arrives to warn everyone about the androids. So we have to assume that Chi-Chi cut Gohan's hair again, Yamcha's hair grew out, and the Spirit Bomb defeated Frieza and blew up Namek. So Goku never got the Super Saiyan transformation, and that Trunks shows him the transformation. That is crazy. I know that I said that I'm not going to change a lot of key moments, but this is like the Goku transforming into a Super Saiyan on Planet Namek is like the only key moment that I have to change, and you'll see why. It works beautifully. You'll see why, but that's later. For now, let me just tell you what I mean by this. So in the GT timeline, they fought the Saiyans, right? And then they go to Namek, events of Namek take place exactly the way they are supposed to, up and until Goku starts fighting Frieza. That is when he tells everyone, hey guys, I'm making a spirit bomb, and that spirit bomb is gonna be powerful as hell. It's gonna be powerful enough to defeat Frieza. And if it can defeat Frieza, it can certainly destroy the planet as well. So why don't you guys just evacuate? Let me handle Frieza. Alright, I'm gonna throw that spirit bomb and defeat him. So then Popper made the wish using the Earth's Dragon Balls, reviving everyone that was killed by Frieza's men. And then Dende in turn made the wish to transport everyone off the planet because Goku had already warned them that the planet is going to blow up. Goku then threw the spirit bomb, right, which defeated Frieza. Goku tried to get away from planet Namek in time, and that led to him going to Yardrat like normal. The only difference is that this time around he does not have the Super Saiyan transformation. Then fast forward to August 8, 764, Future Trunks arrives to warn everyone about the androids, right? And then Goku also arrives, and then Future Trunks is like, yo, Goku, you don't know how to transform into a Super Saiyan? Dude, this must be the butterfly effect of me hopping between timelines. Alright. In 3 years, androids are gonna come, you gotta learn how to transform. This is the transformation. He shows him the Super Saiyan transformation, and Goku is like, bet, I'll learn it in 3 years' time. And then after Future Trunks leaves, Chi-Chi cuts Gohan's hair, and then enough time passes for Yamcha to grow his hair, and that is when the events of Tree of Might take place, which is why Goku did not transform into a Super Saiyan during this movie and could only use the Kaioken and Spirit Bomb. Let's go. Okay, moving on to Lord Slug, August age 765. So the Tree of Might took place in August age 764. This is August 8, 765. So this takes place exactly a year after Tree of Might, as the Dragon Balls are used again. So the Dragon Balls are used in Lord Slug, and they're also used in Tree of Might, so a year has passed between the two. Chi-Chi has maintained Gohan's short hair, as you can see here in the poster, and this is in the 3-year time period where everyone is training for the androids. And since Trunks has shown Goku the Super Saiyan transformation, and Goku has promised him that, hey, I'm gonna learn it, he manages to go false Super Saiyan in the fight against Lord Slug, right? So yeah, Goku goes false Super Saiyan as he's trying to learn how to transform after Future Trunks showed him. And remember, the androids are due to arrive on 12th May 8, 767. Moving on to Cooler's Revenge, August 8, 765, literally the exact same month, okay? In the exact same month. So this takes place right after Lord Slug, as no Dragon Balls are used in this film. And in this film, Goku transforms into a Super Saiyan. So in the GT timeline, Goku finally achieved the Super Saiyan transformation while fighting Frieza's brother, Cooler. That is epic. That is really cool. That explains why in the first 75% of the fight against Cooler, Goku did not transform into a Super Saiyan. It's because he did not know how to, right? And then when Cooler transformed into his final form and then pushed Goku over the edge and made Goku angry, that is when Goku finally, for the first time, unlocked the Super Saiyan transformation in the GT timeline. Awesome. Alright, moving on to Return of Cooler. So the Return of Cooler takes place a few months after Cooler's Revenge. So I've given it a few months because, you know, Cooler requires some time to become metal, right? So let's just say a few months being October 8, 765. That one was in August, October. So I gave him like 2 months, right? I think 2 months is enough. And in those 2 months, Gohan has finally grown his hair back. And Piccolo and Kami fused early on after Piccolo saw the Super Saiyan transformation. Okay, and that is how Dende became Guardian, a full 2 years before he was supposed to. Androids arrived in 8767. That's when Dende became Guardian. But in the GT timeline, Dende became Guardian a full 2 years prior. And there is a theory that Dende already was Guardian during the events of Cooler's Revenge, because Piccolo is really strong in that movie. So it's not a stretch to assume that this is already, you know, Piccolo fused with Kami. But regardless, we know for sure here that Dende is Guardian because he shows up in the movie as the Guardian. And yeah, it's very believable because from Piccolo's perspective, right, after the whole Frieza thing, after he fused with Nail, literally another Saiyan, Turles, came and then whooped everyone's asses. And then his own kind, a Namekian, came to Earth as well, whooped their asses again. And Lord Slug was a Super Namekian, remember? Right after that, Goku transformed into a Super Saiyan. So from Piccolo's perspective, he's like, dude, these guys are all Super Namekians and Super Saiyans, and the planet is literally fucked, and I'm not that strong, so I have to fuse with Kami. It makes perfect sense for him to fuse with Kami. So he fused with Kami 2 years prior, and that's why Dende became Guardian in age 765 instead of age 767. And final point for this movie is Goku did not teleport everyone in Namek because he did not have the power, or he couldn't sense the Namekian's ki. Right, so basically, this movie begins with them in a spaceship heading towards Namek because King Kai has told Goku that something wrong is going on in New Namek. So why didn't Goku just teleport everyone to Namek? That is because he doesn't have the power to transport that many people all at once. That's like my only explanation. Or he couldn't sense the Namekian's ki. That's my second explanation. And the reason he couldn't sense the Namekian's ki is because, their ki was heavily weakened because Cooler and his robots from the Big Getty Star kept beating them up. So they had very low energy, which is why Goku could not sense it. And then the fun thing is that Vegeta appears out of nowhere on this planet, right, on New Namek during the events of this movie. That also makes sense because in the Dragon Ball Z anime, we see Vegeta go off to space to train. So it makes perfect sense that he is still wandering around in space, and then he sensed high power levels on New Namek, decided to head there, and then popped up while Goku was fighting Metal Cooler, and then decided to help him in it. So yeah, that also makes sense. Once again, remember, androids arrive on 12th May, age 767, so this movie is still taking place well before the android arc. And when Vegeta transforms into a Super Saiyan in this movie, he does not transform in front of everyone. He only transforms in front of Goku. So Goku is the only one who knows that Vegeta can transform. So when they finally see Vegeta transform against Android 99 and 20, their surprise is real because they haven't seen it before. Only Goku has seen it. So that does not break the canonity there. That's good. Oh, finally we've come to the androids arc. Broly, the legendary Super Saiyan. Okay, so this movie can only take place right after Trunks comes out of the time chamber for the second time. This is because Trunks' hair is long in this movie. So Trunks' hair was long during 2 points. First, when he came out of the time chamber for the first time, but then there's no time for this movie to take place. But after he came out of the time chamber for the second time, during the 10-day gap before the Cell Games is when this movie takes place. So the exact date for this movie is 20th May, age 767, because the Cell Games take place on May 26th, and Trunks comes out of the time chamber the second time on 20th of May. So you could also make this 21st of May if you want. It's either 20th or 21st of May. Goku and Gohan are in their base forms at the beginning of this movie because they're trying to get Gohan into the school, and in Japanese culture, having blonde hair is basically a sign of you being a delinquent. And Chi-Chi definitely does not want that because she wants Gohan to go into a great school. So it explains why they were in their base forms at that point. And I guess Vegeta goes to the new planet Vegeta because of ego, I suppose. Cell did fuck him up quite a bit, and his ego and his pride was really hurt. And I know that Vegeta being Vegeta would do anything to get back at him, but then Paragus right there was telling him that, you are the only one who can defeat the legendary Super Saiyan. So maybe he, needed a little bit of an ego boost. So he's like, I have 10 days. Let me go to New Planet Vegeta, rule a bit, deal with this legendary Super Saiyan, whatever it is. And maybe that will also help me get a Zenkai boost or something and become strong enough to fight Cell. Which is why he went. That's like the only reason I can give for Vegeta to actually, agree to go to New Planet Vegeta around this time, in the 10-day gap before the Cell Games. I mean, even in the Z anime, Goku is doing random nonsense during those 10 days. So yeah, works. Similarly, plan to eradicate the Saiyans. This takes place right after Broly, but just before the Cell Games. I've given it the date 22nd May, age 767, so I gave it like a 2-day gap because everyone needs time to recover after the whole Broly fight. So this could either be 22nd May or 23rd May, depending on when this movie took place, either 20th or 21st, right? Future Trunks has his hair short now, which means he went into the time chamber 3 times in the GT timeline. Because if you remember, when the Cell game started, Future Trunks' hair was long. If it's short here, it means he needs to have spent at least another year in the time chamber. So there was a limit that you could enter the time chamber only twice, but because in the GT timeline Dende became Guardian 2 years prior, I guess now he has the power to upgrade it. I mean, in the main timeline he upgrades it a little later to allow people to enter the time chamber, but here he upgraded it earlier because he's been Guardian longer. So we are still in the 10-day gap before the Cell games. And in the beginning, Goku and Gohan are in base form because they've just recovered from Broly, or are still trying for the school, I guess. That's like the only explanation. And yeah, Cell is still waiting even when all this weird chaos is happening in those 10 days. Bojack Unbound. Okay, so we are finally beyond the Cell games. So this takes place either in end May or early June, or like a few months after the Cell games. We know that Goten is not born at this point, right? So I would say it takes place within 6 months after the Cell games. And it's long enough for Trunks to go back to his time, grow his hair again, and get a new sword. And since Goku saves Gohan, it means that the Otherworld tournament, which has started right after the Cell games, is over. So Goku has met Pikkon by this point and has already fought him once. So this movie takes place after the Otherworld tournament arc in Z, right? We are still in age 767. And the reason why future Trunks is in this movie is because he comes back to tell everyone that he defeated Cell in his timeline. So yeah, otherwise this movie gives us no problems, fits perfectly. Let's go. Thank you, Bojack. Broly's Second Coming. So this movie takes place on 21st April, age 774. This takes place right after Videl learned how to fly. She learned how to fly on 20th of April. And it also takes place before the 25th World Martial Arts Tournament, because there's like a few days gap in between when Videl learned to fly and when the tournament started. Videl was unconscious when Gohan transforms in this movie, so her surprise at seeing him transform during the tournament makes sense. So the canon is maintained there. And Videl in the beginning of the movie was looking for the Dragon Balls because I guess she probably heard about Shenron from Gohan or Goten, right? And was curious. She might have even heard about Shenron from Trunks. We never see Shenron appear in this movie, even though the Dragon Balls do scatter. But even the narrator wonders whether Goku's appearance was just imagination or was it actually the work of Dragon Balls. And the reason why Goten knows what Goku looks like is because Goten obviously heard about Goku from Gohan and Chi-Chi, right? And I'm like 90% sure they have pictures of Goku as well. So this makes sense. Then moving on to 13th May, age 774. So this movie takes place after the Buu saga ends. The Buu saga ended on 8th of May, age 774. So right now, Buu is hiding, waiting for the world to forget him, right? Vegeta did not come back to life. So remember how Vegeta asked them to use the Namekian Dragon Balls while fighting Kid Buu to like revive everyone who died because of Buu, except for the very evil ones. And that's how Vegeta came back to life, because the dragon did not consider him to be super evil. Well, in this timeline, I guess the dragon did consider him to still have evil in his heart, which is why he did not revive him. And Goku died along with Kid Buu with the Spirit Bomb, which I think is pretty probable. Like, it could happen. But that's like the only way to explain why Goku and Vegeta are dead during the events of this movie. Otherwise, there's no possible way to fit this movie anywhere else, right? Another reason we can give for Vegeta to be dead is that, you know, he also died with the Spirit Bomb. So he came back to life only to die again. That would be stupid. But take it which way you want. Point is, Kid Buu, Goku and Vegeta all died, right? And this movie takes place right after that. And Goten and Trunks know fusion, but they're kids. They were too dumb to fuse before they started fighting Bio Broly, and after they started fighting Bio Broly, they did not really get too many opportunities to do a fusion dance. They did get one or two, but whatever. I guess you could say they were too battle damaged, and it would have taken too long for them to regulate their power levels to be equal and then do the fusion dance. But yeah, either way, it makes sense. Just because they know fusion doesn't mean they have to fuse. Alright. Moving on to Fusion Reborn. This takes place on 8th September, age 774, which is 4 months after the Buu saga, as the Dragon Balls are active. So they had not used their remaining 2 wishes during the Buu saga, and Dende was like, we can just, you know, summon the dragon again in 4 months time, and that is when we'll do the wishes. So 4 months later, the Dragon Balls were active, so we can say that this movie takes place 4 months later. In the GT timeline, Goku and Vegeta are still dead, right? I have given you the reason as to why they died right here. Oh, and they do summon Shenron in this movie, but he cannot grant a wish. So he's like, I can't grant the wish you asked me to. Do you have any other wishes? And in the end of the movie, Shenron is still like, yo, are you gonna make a wish or not? So in the GT timeline, that is when they decided to erase all of Majin Buu's acts from the memories of the people. So yeah, as you can see here, in the GT timeline, Buu's memories were erased 4 months later rather than 6 months later. Because like in the main timeline, it happens in 6 months, even though they could have done it in 4 months. I don't know why the hell they waited for 2 months, but whatever. Now we know that in the GT timeline, they did not wait for 2 months. They just did it right there because Shenron had been summoned and they had to make the wish anyway, so yay. So yeah, that's exactly where Fusion Reborn takes place in the timeline. Didn't have to make any major changes for that. And Goku and Vegeta learned the fusion dance in this movie. That's how they were able to transform into Gogeta during the events of Dragon Ball GT. And now finally, we move to the final movie on this list, which is Wrath of the Dragon, which takes place exactly 1 year after the wish to erase the memories of Buu was made. So exactly 1 year after Fusion Reborn, because the Dragon Balls were summoned again in this movie, and Goku and Vegeta were brought back to life using the Namekian Dragon Balls on 16th of September, age 774, which is exactly 130 days after they were last used during the fight with Kid Buu. So that explains why Goku and Vegeta are alive in this movie, but they are dead in Fusion Reborn, because Fusion Reborn is 8th September and they were revived on 16th September. And in this movie, Trunks gets the Brave Sword and Goku does the Dragon Fist for the first time. End of Z takes place on 7th May, age 784, and beautifully leads right into Dragon Ball GT. There you have it, folks. That was every single Dragon Ball Z movie / special that is connected to GT, with reasons and explanations as to exactly where and how they fit into the timeline. That is the true Dragon Ball GT timeline. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave a like and subscribe. The Buu Saga Power Scale video is on its way next. Stay tuned for that. A lot of exciting things happening there. Feel free to use my comment section as a place of discussion, as I would love to hear your theories and I would love to interact with you guys as well. So thanks for watching once again. Thunderbolt out.